All right. It's 12:31. Let's go ahead and get this kicked off. First off, thank you everybody who's tuning in right now for joining us for the first panel of the Gaming and Esports track here at Dallas Startup Week. My name is Justin Varghese. I am the track captain for the Gaming and Esports track. And this is pretty much all you're going to hear of me for this entire day is just me welcoming y'all to this session. We have some amazing panelists here. They're going to be walking you through a very complicated area and one that's rapidly growing as well. And that is the state of marketing and partnerships here in esports. I'll be here in the chat monitoring things and collecting your questions as we go along. So at the end of this initial conversation, we're going to leave about 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A. So if you have any questions anytime throughout this panel, feel free to ask. I'll tabulate all of them and send them over to our panelists to answer at the end. And as always, feel free to continue the conversation either on LinkedIn or on Slack in the Dallas Startup Week 2020 Slack channels. With that, I'll throw it over to Jonathan Jordan to take it away.
Jonathan, you good?
What?
I don't think he heard you, JV.
Oh no! Of all the times. No, Jonathan, go ahead and start moderating. I guess this is a great start. Great start. I promise. We're
Can you hear us right now, Jonathan? Jordan?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay.
Right, cool.
Awesome. Do you
I'm
want
waiting for Justin to say something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I said something. I promise, buddy. All right, we'll do an instant replay. And with that, Jonathan, why don't you go ahead and take it away on our state of marketing and partnerships in esports panel?
I don't think he can hear you, Justin.
I don't think you can hear Justin.
Oh
I can't hear
no!
Justin at all.
Oh, that's the problem.
Did you mute him?
Go ahead and kick it off, man. So
No.
start it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so I'm just going?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You already do the intros?
he already did the intros.
Okay. Well, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on, but all right, well, welcome everyone to this panel talking about marketing in esports. I missed the intros, apparently, but I'd like to, for each of you guys, each of our panelists, to just give a quick background of what you guys do in the esports space. So let's start with Markel.
How you doing? I am co-founder and CCO of AOE Creative. Basically, we're a creative marketing agency that focuses on gaming, esports, and nerd culture. We do stuff outside of that for sure, but that's the major thing that we like to kind of have our niche in. We're more of a boutique agency, so we want to keep it kind of small. That way that we can work very personal with our clients and fan base. We want to work with people in the gaming esports community as well as outside of it to kind of learn how to properly market and promote themselves within the gaming esports community.
Awesome. Jonathan, how about you?
Hey, my name is Jonathan Andrews. I'm the Director of Partnerships here at Esports Stadium. So we're the largest dedicated esports facility in North America. We host really big esports events for a lot of money. This is the easiest way to put it. So we're pretty agnostic to games in general. So we work with every major publisher in the space, and anywhere from Blizzard Activision down to ESL. And we also do gaming, pop culture things that aren't necessarily esports related. So the whole gambit.
Awesome. And then Suki.
Hey, everybody. My name is Suki Park. I'm the Director of Activation at Complexity Gaming. We're a esports organization, actually one of the oldest esports organizations in North America, and I'm pretty sure the world. And we were acquired by Jerry Jones, the owner of Dallas Cowboys, back in 2017, I believe. And so we're based in Frisco, right at the Star, right across from the Cowboys headquarters. So living the dream. But yeah, nice to meet you guys.
And real quick, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jonathan Jordan. I'm an attorney at Kane Russell Coleman, Crane, Russell Coleman Logan in Dallas. I'm heading up our firm's esports practice. I've been in the space for a couple of years now. I'm excited to be talking with you guys today. So let's jump into it. So how has esports marketing and sponsorships evolved in the past 5 or 6 years since the esports space really started to kind of blow up and get more mainstream recognition?
I guess I'll start off kind of talking about that. You see a lot of partners and companies nowadays putting a lot more effort into the stuff that they do with teams or events within gaming and esports. At first, a lot of companies didn't know much about gaming and esports, kind of shy to kind of jump into it. You had a few here and there that will try to get in, but they'll do like the bare minimum, or they'll try to do stuff that they see. It works in sports. It should work. Like, I'm gonna put my logo on the broadcast, and it'll be okay. And then start understanding now that people start seeing that and being, hey, this is an opportunity for us to do more within this community. This community doesn't take well with people just throwing money at it. You have to be authentic, and you have to show that you actually care, and that you're not just here to kind of make a sale.
I think it's become a lot more interactive rather than, like Markel said, just a basic logo slap. I think in the beginning, it was a lot of the companies were following the traditional sports model of like having logo presence on jerseys and, streams and all that stuff. But I think now it's shifting more towards activations and like events, player appearances, any sort of thing that they can really have a closer interaction with fans. I think that's kind of how it's shifting.
Yeah, I mean, at least for the esports stadium side, we see that too. I mean, we play in a little bit of a different field in which like we're just a facility. So typically we'll do like venue sponsorships that are long standing. And so when we look at integrations with partners, it's not a single weekend, but how can you really create a brand presence that is still fun 365, year round, that full year experience. So when someone comes in, it's got to be generic enough that anyone who plays the game like kind of relates to it, but I don't know, specific enough that it feels personal, because we touch every, I guess, like gaming audience, right? From the Fortnite players all the way to COD, very different audiences, and it's just a big spectrum.
Yeah, and like I said, throughout the years, you see it change over and over again, where more people start getting smarter about the way that they want to interact with this community. So, like, again, what Suki was basically bringing up, like activating properly with teams. Instead of just being like, hey, we'll give you some money, just put us on your jersey. Now it's like, okay, what kind of content can we actually do? What kind of things can we do to actually get more engagement or actually show that we care about your team growing and prospering and getting better, right? Whereas in sports, you see as well, like people in sports just normally use the logo flaps. Like we've talked to like UFC and stuff like that, and you see they're like, oh yeah, just put the logo on the octagon. And you're like, does that work though? Like, I don't know. That's just what people do. It's like, but is there anything I get out of that in return? And so sponsors are starting to notice that, like, okay, I'm not really getting my investment when I put my logo on the side of a NASCAR, right? Like it's with 50 other logos. But if I take that same money, actually not even that much, even a quarter of that money that I just put on that car, I can put that into an esports team and get way more. I can get that actually showcased. They can actually promote my product. They can get fans to actually start doing fan art and things like that. And so again, companies are being a lot smarter when it comes to, oh, this is a better way of promoting my product.
Your mic's cut out, Jordan or John.
Along those lines, the industry is obviously going through rapid growth over the last few years. How successful have brands been in adapting to the changing industry and seeking out the better opportunities to get in?
I think it really depends on the brand, honestly. Like, I feel like the one that pops in my mind, it's not necessarily specifically esports. It's kind of like gaming in general, or I guess pop culture. But SeatGeek, I mean, now they're kind of, with everything going on with COVID, I can imagine that their business is, anyone in the ticketing platform world right now is probably not having a good time. But the way that they kind of came into mainstream was really interesting, where they're just like, we'll do like some traditional advertising, but we're just going to give David Dobrik a car and let him give it away, and that's like it's weird, right? Like no one would have thought like, oh, let's just give someone a car and then like let him promote it to his fans. Like literally just like if you follow his post, like we'll give you a car. I think he recently did the same thing. He gave a Tesla away with G Fuel. And it's like, that's super interesting, right? Because like ridiculous engagement, not traditional. But I think that's like kind of the vein that brands that are more successful in this space have found that success, is because it's like, it's similar to like how the CDL recently, like they're like, oh, like you expected a trophy, well, we're going to give you a throne. Like that's so cool. It's like, it's just different, and I think brands that are willing to kind of take a little bit of that risk are going to be more successful versus someone who's like, hey, we'll spend some money, maybe we'll do some logos and stuff, but like if you're not willing to go really deep in the community, it's just not going to pay dividends, in my opinion.
Good. And I have to piggyback off that and say exactly right. Working with these different teams and individuals, like there's an opportunity for brands to do something unique within the space that they can't do in the other industries. And that's what the most important thing, or one of the things that most clients or sponsors actually enjoy within the space, is there's so many ways to activate here and so many unique opportunities to do something that you just can't do with a typical like NBA team or with the typical another branch or organization that gaming and esports gives you. Right. I mean, outside of like esports, gaming wise, again, look at the stuff like Marshmallow or Travis Scott did with like Fortnite. Like you don't get that experience anywhere else. And because of that, technically they have the largest actual live concert. If you want to put in numbers of how many people watched it live, right? You can't do that in other sports as easily. And then you see a lot of people, especially during COVID, a lot of different sports or industries deciding that, oh, this is an opportunity. I need to do something online. What can I do? And people starting to do like show matches or events against one another in different games or different events that can kind of showcase themselves. A lot of pro athletes, and sponsors and even partners like doing things within Animal Crossing, right? Where there's like, hey, this is a good way to promote my product. I'm gonna just play a video game and show people and use it. Wendy's did the same thing when it came to Fortnite, trying to promote their food, their products by destroying refrigerators in Fortnite, to the point where Fortnite even removed all refrigerators because they were getting free advertisement, right? And it's just something that we can do in the gaming esports industry that others just cannot. And it's a wonderful feeling, and it's a real great way for sponsors or partners who want to do something big and drastic to do it here and still not be as much as it would to advertise on national TV or doing a sports event or like, of course, like a major finals like the NBA finals or the Super Bowl, right?
Suki, I guess I'll ask you, have you noticed anything over the last couple of years from the org side as far as new brands coming in that weren't trying to get into these sports a couple years ago?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one has been betting companies. So with betting becoming legal in the United States, starting with like New Jersey, you're seeing a lot more betting companies start to sponsor North American esports teams. At least like Dignitas just recently announced their betting company sponsorship, and a lot of them are looking to come into the space in North America now. And then I also see a lot of luxury brands entering the space as well. If you look at Fnatic, they recently collaborated with Gucci, I believe, for a limited clothing line. So you see a lot of unexpected brands entering the space, and it just shows that I think esports is something incredibly special. So
yeah, I think to chime on that a little bit, like Sports Awards back in November of last year, which feels like 5 years ago that happened. But Lexus was one of those luxury brands that we helped kind of bring into the space. And when we were talking with our brand team, and this is kind of relevant, it's kind of sad, but they came in and they showed us like, hey, we're going to bring these cars. Like, which ones do you think? And they showed us 3 cars. And they're like, oh, we may actually only be able to bring 2. We're thinking about cutting the Black Panther car. So that one of the cars was like actually from Black Panther. And I was like, no. Like, this is like super culturally relevant. Like, everyone in the esports and gaming space, like, loves Black Panther, Rip Chadwick, but like, like look at how like the community has like reacted to everything that's kind of gone down with that movie, like in the past like week, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would have like completely missed out on that moment because like they kind of perceived gamers as like, oh, we just want to see like the coolest, fastest car. But like for them, it's like that really wasn't it. It was like the Marvel car was the coolest thing. Like, everyone took a picture with it, everyone enjoyed it. But it's like the small things that like they rely on agencies to and people in the space to come in and kind of help guide them, because they have an idea in their head, like a preconception. But it's on us to really like help them, right? Cross that gap.
For sure. And especially now with COVID, like the new brands, like the luxury brands or any sort of non-endemic brands that you wouldn't have seen in the esports space, like their target audience has changed, right? Because everybody's staying at home. Nobody can go outside and, go see movies or anything. So a lot of people have turned to video games, whether it be playing it, streaming it, watching streams, what have you. And so a lot of the brands have shifted their target and their focus to target these, not just like hardcore gamers, but also the casual gamers as well. And so I'm seeing a lot of shift in that aspect.
Are there any products or service brands that are not in the space yet that you guys see an opportunity for openings? So, for example, Bud Light being the official beer of LCS, we've seen a big a recent push with non-alcoholic beverages, new craft non-alcoholic beer companies popping up everywhere. Are there opportunities for companies like that, or are there other products or services that you guys think there are opportunities for?
I mean, there's definitely a whole bunch of opportunities for a lot of brands to do within the space. The problem is a lot of brands are just afraid to, right? Originally, when people start talking about gaming and esports, they're just like, okay, I'm not really sure. And then there was also a moment in time where there was a lot of bad examples of people trying to get within this industry through marketing. They felt like they lost a lot of money. So a lot of people are afraid. But now as people are starting to learn more and more, like, there are ways for any and everybody to get involved. And even from like the smaller tier, non-endemics to the larger ones, like I said, Louis Vuitton, right? When they did the stuff for League of Legends, like most people like League of Legends out of all the like things to kind of sponsor and follow and do something for, why League of Legends? And it was like, nobody's going to care about that. And then you find out most of everything that they had sold out, even though it was at Louis Vuitton prices, right? And that's because they went very hard on the League of Legends Worlds, made sure that they did that activation properly. Anybody can get within this industry. They just got to do it right, instead of, again, coming here and being like, well, this is a buzzword, so this is something that I should just jump in. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to act like I do and then market incorrectly. And instead of coming in, like, you get more respect in the gaming community if you're a larger company that goes, hey, I really don't fully understand gaming, but I do love what you have here and I want to understand more. And instead of just, hey, I'm just going to do this like every other thing that I have and throw money at it. And gamers, like we say, and excuse language, is like, gamers have a high bullshit meter, right? And as soon as you come within the space, we automatically think this is you're just here for the money until you prove otherwise. And then once you do that, you gain that respect. Thinking about a company that made itself, that's a non-endemic but makes itself feel like it's endemic, would be like Red Bull, right?
Yep.
They make that, like, they're so in tune into the community that you feel like, oh yeah, like that they're part of gaming. And it's like, not really, but they came and they put themselves in there and made themselves that energy drink for it. And then, Monster's trying to do the same thing. Like I said, you have Bud Light trying to get within this, but there's easy opportunity for anybody else to step in as long as they come at it correctly and not just a money grab.
Yeah, it's literally all about authenticity. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go for it.
No, that was it.
I was going to say, like, and what we mean by authenticity doesn't, and at least in my perspective, it's not so much like I'm going to put like a Red Bull can and put like a, a controller on it. It's really like, if I'm going to, like, Red Bull was a really great example, and I was going to bring it up, it's what did they do to get into the space? Like, specifically, like, what did they actually do? Well, they started their own fighting game tournaments. Like, it wasn't just like hey, we're going to like sponsor a few tournaments. Like, no, we're going to like custom trophies. We're going to do locations across the United States. Like, we're going to get super deep on the grassroots side and like support small tournaments all the way to national. So it wasn't just like hey, we released like a gaming product and now all these gamers are going to like our chair or like our cans. Like, it is not that. It is purely like, hey, we're still selling the same Red Bull, but like we're creating events for the communities that we're trying to serve. Like, they serve the community first. In retrospect, now the community serves them as ambassadors for their product. And I think that's what I mean whenever I say authenticity, at least.
Yeah, and I feel like this industry is a very like high risk, high reward sort of, right? Like we've been talking about, if they take low risk and they just, throw money at it for a logo slap or, some generic thing, I don't like, they may see some reward, but it's not going to be as, fruitful. But like, I get, the brands being hesitant on risking so much when they don't know if they're going to get the return on investment. But yeah, I think this industry is just like, the more you take risks, I think the higher the reward is.
Yeah, but again, it's also not like disrespecting the community. Like JV just put in there talking about Burger King, right? And the recent thing that they did where they're just trying to exploit these small streamers by sending them a little bit of something just to advertise, hey, we have this on sale. You should check it out. Like, nobody respects that, because again, it's like you're just using us to make money. Like, you're not actually supporting or giving back to the people that that are doing these streams, that are trying to become streamers, that are trying to build up their brand. Right now, you're just using it as a platform to help yourself.
So comparing Burger King with Red Bull. So Burger King, it seems like, is trying to kind of just dip their toe in the water to see what can come from these little things that they're doing. Whereas Red Bull really, as Markel was talking about, really, or as Jonathan was talking about, really invested into the space. So is there a middle ground that brands could find to test the space, or is it really like Red Bull, you just really have to own it and really invest in it?
It depends on what you want, right? It depends on your product. It depends on exactly how you want to promote and how you want to market. Like, what is your overall goal within this industry? If you are trying to sell something and you just want the numbers, go with an influencer, get a content creator, work with someone that will be big enough to sell something individually to you. If you want longevity and you want somebody to respect your brand as something that actually cares about gaming, then you sponsor a team, or you sponsor an event, or you do, like I said, what Red Bull does. It all depends on exactly what you're trying to get out of the situation and what you want your brand to be perceived within the industry. So that's a lot of times what we try to tell everybody that we work with is, exactly what are you trying to get out of this? Like, at the end of the day, is it just to get numbers? Is it just to do sales? Or do you want people to go, yo, I love this brand, I'm fighting for this brand? Like, the idea of, everybody talks about Nike campaign is that they created a movement, not just like buy a product. They made a movement behind what Nike is and the Just Do It campaign. Do you want to fill that same void within the game and esports with your product? Or are you just coming here because, hey, you want to do a sale for the fall? Then that's different, right?
Yep.
So it just depends.
Yep. I think if you look at game launches too, it's kind of similar. It's like there's a reason that like these publishers, they're all just kind of like, hey, new game's coming out. We're going to pay top 50 influencers to do a promotion stream for the first week. And then never see those streamers touch the game ever again for like, maybe sometimes they'll play it. Like big spike in attention, then it's just gone. What Markel's kind of talking about is exactly that. It's like, do you want to have a home in esports for the next 10, 20 years? Like that's shooting themselves to do, or do you just want to capitalize on where the eyeballs are at the moment? And it's just two different conversations, honestly.
So, and I view esports is a long-term play. I mean, it's here to stay. And I think Red Bull has the right mindset. As you guys have pointed out, they've been a really good case study for brands getting into the space and how to do it correctly. Are there any recent activations that you guys have seen where you either thought, besides Burger King, that you thought, man, they're doing this the wrong way, or closer to
Cool.
you thought, man, they're really going up the right way? Are there any other activations that you've seen recently?
I mean,
I thought.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Markel.
All right. I said for me, I think the Cash App with 100 Thieves, they've been doing really well.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what you was about to say, Jonathan.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, if
good.
I'm saying it and you're saying it, then clearly it's doing something right? With, of course, sponsoring the venue, doing a lot of custom things and content with the creators, working out like fixing stream rooms for people, doing fun activations and stuff like the Uno tournament that they did as well for $500,000. Right? Those opportunities where they're just, hey, we're having a good time. We love what y'all do, and we're just showing that we love exactly what you guys have and the content that you create and everybody that's involved. Like being able to kind of show that organically with everybody that they have. Of course, again, it's still a sponsored push, but at the same time, they're doing things that's unique within the space, right? I'm not just here to pull everything. Go ahead, Jonathan.
I was just say, like, in the way that Cash App, there's like one thing that sticks out that they did to me, at least. I thought that stuck with me, and it's hilarious. It's like, and this is like 100 Thieves culture kind of bleeding into the marketing. So they had like the Courage and Nade Shot show where they were like, they were doing the sponsor read. Then at the end of the sponsor read, they're like, and if you don't have Cash App, fuck you, like, but that's like what brand would let you say that? And that's like Cash App 100% trusting 100 Thieves. They're like, they know that 100 Thieves speaks to their audience in a certain way, and they just let 100 Thieves have that creative freedom. And like, look, I remembered it, and I think that was like really funny, and like they've continued to do really cool stuff. And I think, every brand has a different voice, and you got to let the brand use their voice. That's why you're paying them, right?
So let's kind of focus on the last kind of few months since the pandemic started. Is there anything, any changes that you marketing strategies since COVID started and live events stopped happening? Are there any trends that you've seen in the last few months?
Oh yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is everything's digital now, right? Like now we can't do player appearances. I mean, speaking from a team side, can't do player appearances, can't host events anywhere. So we've really had to pivot our activation strategies to do everything digitally. So maybe instead of doing a player appearance, we do a stream takeover, or, instead of having, like, we do a summer camp, maybe we just make it into a Zoom call with our CEO talking about how to get a job in esports, like things like that, right? And that obviously has been the biggest shift in terms of like activations itself. And another point that I'm also seeing is that a lot of company, like from a brand and a company perspective, I'm seeing a lot of pivot in terms of like what they want to achieve from the activations. So in the past, it might have been, hey, we just want to increase awareness of the brand. We want to make sure that people know who we are and what we can do. And I think a lot of it's shifted to sales. With the economy taking a hit from COVID, because people aren't spending, they want to drive sales to their company rather than just getting eyeballs.
Yeah. And definitely throughout this time, again, like exactly what she was saying about people pivoting and changing kind of their motivation or the way that they do things. Because of COVID-19, it does slow down a lot of things when it comes to sponsors wanting to be active with certain people right now because everybody's taking a hit. But a lot of the sponsors that have been involved, that have been already locked in with a team, have doubled down on their digital footprint, which we've seen a lot. And of course, even with teams or major events, you take this opportunity now because we're working with Overwatch League, Call of Duty League, and even last weekend, the Flashpoint, right, where sponsors take this opportunity of how do we promote properly now on social, and how does the actual league now speak and deal with everybody online with the way that they want to talk to the fans of the industry or the players, and so it's been a big change when it comes to that. But honestly, it's also been really good for gaming and esports, and the fact that even like I said before, the NFL, you see some NFL players, you see UFC, you see NBA players, you see other celebrities jump into gaming and esports and start understanding a little bit more about why people, play games, go to competitions, or even join online events, do show matches. Like, it's getting a lot more awareness now. So even though some sponsors aren't jumping on right now at this moment because they're just trying to save face until everything gets better and everybody, quarantine's over with, I'm assuming as soon as this is over with, a lot more people will be doing things within this space because it's beneficial. And also they see the sheer numbers, like online, everybody's streaming something or bringing up content on YouTube, on Twitch, etc. And people are like, oh, this is actually a big deal right now. And like I said, UFC just did a whole tournament just to promote their pay-per-view that we were talking about recently, where they had celebrities from different types of things. They had Lyric represent streamers, and then had a few people from the fighting game community kind of do like a UFC event where they let them play the game, and then the winner won like some a golden statue, and people see that and they notice that and they're like, yo, we have to start creating content. This makes the most sense, and it does very well. This is an opportunity for us to grow.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback off of both of what they said, our industry kind of grew up in the digital media space. Like from day one, all of us kind of have that background. So, complexity immediately, like, home games aren't happening anymore. All right, we're going to do a Zoom call. Like that was so cool, right? Like, you don't see, like, we had traditional sports teams like reach out to us and they're like, hey, like, we need help going digital, right? And did I freeze? Part of the problem is like these organizations are so that it's difficult for them to pivot to digital, right? Whereas like, digital for us is second nature. Like we, when things happen, like for us, I mean, we're a venue. We took like a huge kick in the face, honestly, but we were able to pivot online that week. It wasn't like a 2-week long discussion about like what's our strategy going to digital. It's like, oh, we're going back to what we used to do prior to it. And I think big organizations and advertisers see that as something that esports is very valuable, right? It's not only do we do the traditional stuff, we talk with that mainstream celebrity audience and like the mainstream, like just like pop culture audience, but we're in person, we're live, but we're very, very nimble in the digital space to the point where it's like, give us a week and we're digital completely, and I think that speaks for any esports org, that all of them have the capabilities to really navigate that space and not be intimidated. I think there was like a group that approached us and they were like trying to do something in the space, and they spent the entire quarantine trying to figure out like how to do something digital. And now it's like quarantine's over, like you've missed the window, and that's just too much bureaucracy leads to that, especially when you're not familiar with something.
We got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to try to pull some questions from.
Yeah, I actually have some questions, Jonathan, that I've compiled. So the first question.
And I can hear you now, Justin. So
you can hear me now. I was so concerned that I was still magically muted selectively for Jonathan because he heard enough of my voice. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. wasn't me.
All right. So the first question comes from Corey. When it comes to sourcing deals, what strategies have worked in reaching out to non-endemic brands, going through the agency or to the brands directly or another route?
Yeah, it depends on the brand, honestly,
Yeah.
because sometimes you can't go directly to someone, no matter how many contacts that you have. It's like, well, I'm sorry, you got to go through X, Y, Z.
Yep.
We have to deal with that many and multiple times, regardless if that's with our current partners or even when we were working with, the Outlaws and Optics, going through each and every loop to do that. It's kind of, you just kind of have to network as best as you can. Honestly, the better way of doing it too is to also have a plan in mind. If you come to a lot of different sponsors and like, hey, I'd like to sponsor with you, and you're like, okay, like do what? And you don't really have anything. Most of the time, you're gonna be put to the side. I've noticed like presenting to people, ideas and somewhat of what you want to do with them helps more than it doesn't for sure. Again, it depends on the sponsor or the partner that you're trying to work with. Again, when you come to non-endemics, you have to understand they get major pitches from people at all times. So being prepared is definitely the best option.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We have another question from Rudy. How do content creators deal with gaming companies changing strategic direction? And he gives the example of some developers moving maybe from traditionally console platforms to more mobile gaming platforms.
I mean, I can't speak for content creators, but I mean, I can speak for our team. Complexity recognizes the huge growth in the mobile gaming market. So we had signed, a bunch of mobile gaming content creators that were already big in the space. And we've hosted a bunch of mobile tournaments. Like last year, we did a mobile Fortnite tournament where we received so many signups. So we definitely recognize the space, and we think that it's going to keep growing. Hopefully, if Epic and Apple and Google can get along. So, yeah, I mean, for the teams, we're definitely for us at least, we're definitely looking to grow in that space.
I'll probably say it's also about flexibility in that situation. As a content creator, I mean, you have to be flexible. The game that you started on will not be the game that you end off on if you want to be successful. You always have to be able to flex and be able to switch it up when necessary. And unfortunately, for some people who don't like mobile gaming, sometimes you might have to bite that bullet for the content that you need to provide, and it's understood. If you have a niche, then you have a niche, and you can, say, hey, I'm gonna stick with these type of games. Just understand that, when things switch over and things migrate, you just got to be smart about the way that you move. It's like any other company. You can't stay stagnant for too long. You always have to be looking at what's the next thing that you need to do in order to build and promote and do everything, execute it properly. And once you become stagnant, then somebody else comes over and overshadows you. So you have to be ready to make that move.
Yeah, I think flexibility. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, I think flexibility is the name of the game for anybody in esports, whether it be a brand that's coming in or it be a content creator that is in an organization or is streaming. Like, you have to be able to pivot just like that. Like, unlike, any other sort of sponsorship or marketing, this is a really fast changing industry, and you have to be able to adapt to that speed.
Yeah, and what I was just going to say is, like, one of the mobile games that pops up into my mind besides Fortnite is Raid Shadow Legends. I feel like they just did like a massive media buy campaign on Twitch content creators at one point, and it became a joke in the community. It's like, oh man, like, let me guess, sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Like, like they sponsored everyone. And because it was like so transparently paid for, like, some people I think just passed on the opportunity. And so you have to ride that line of, like, as a content creator, like, what's your audience? Like, if you have a strong audience and, like, a mobile creator or a mobile game company comes to you and they want you to play their game and they're going to pay you some money, it's like, well, is that worth the potential downside of your audience just seeing you as a sellout? And so you have to constantly kind of toe that line. I think some people have bought into it. They're just like, hey guys, I'm doing a spot. Like they like make it a joke that they sell out, just like numbing their audience to the fact that they're getting sponsorships, and it's actually really smart. Courage JD does a really good job of that. Soda Poppin does a good job of that. It's like, hey guys, I'm getting the bag today, and
It's been out.
generated that. Yep, super transparent, and again, being authentic. It's like a lot of brands wouldn't be comfortable with people saying that. A lot of people wouldn't know. I don't want you to know it's paid, or like I want you to downplay the fact it's paid. And like, yeah, maybe that works for some people, but some people have the voice with their audience, and you have to trust that they're telling you they're doing it for a reason. So.
Yeah, I think it's really funny that works. I feel like there's no other industry that you can blatantly say like, yo, I'm selling out for this company, and your fans are like, yeah, do it. Like, I have a friend who's a pretty big influencer in the fighting game space, and he's always like, yo, I'm selling out for this company. Like, let me tell you about like this sponsor. Like, let me just sell out for 5 minutes. And all his, chat is like going crazy. And they're like, yeah, we love it when you sell out. Like, I just think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it just goes to show like what Markel and Jonathan said, that authenticity, as long as you're like authentic about it and like it speaks to your fans, like it doesn't matter.
Here's a question I think that maybe our moderator would be able to answer more than most of us. But from Peter Pham, Epic Games v. Apple. Should gaming orgs be worried about these fights?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know if gaming orgs should be worried more than like the mobile content creators that created their career off of Fortnite mobile, right? Like, I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but
I feel like the issue that I see is like the reason Fortnite became so popular, or part of the reason, there's a lot of things that went right for Fortnite to become as popular as it did, but part of it was because it was so easily ported to like every single console. And so when you make it like essentially it's making it more complicated for audience in, like, if you're an iPhone user, which is a not trivial amount of people, you've officially made it harder for people to play the game. And I think for Fortnite, it's probably more of a concern for Fortnite's base popularity, and if people are like so attached to Fortnite that they'll drop Apple to go to Android, it's probably an Apple problem. But I think the only way I see it getting like really, really bad is for discoverability of new games. If Apple's able to get their way of like completely, and it seems like they're not going to, so I don't think it'll be a problem. But if Apple were to essentially be like, hey, we're not giving developer tools for Unreal Engine, period, then you may see like it's a big deal if your game can't be marketed on iPhones, right? That's a huge problem. Like, imagine if like Fall Guys became like all went to mobile, but like it can go to every mobile device but Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's going to be super popular, but it's now the popularity is like artificially hit a ceiling because of this inability to get on the Apple Store. So I just think it makes it harder for things to go really, really viral.
Yeah.
So things can still go viral, but it's like there's going to be a ceiling now if you can't get on the Apple Store, I think.
Talking about two titans in their own right when it comes to business. And so you watching two titans fight each other, and it's like either way, much shouldn't change, but understood that there's like definitely an argument, a back and forth. I don't think Apple's going to stop itself from working with other developers because of that. They're just going to change their terms, right? And put that within that of rules that you can and can't do, as well as Epic with Fortnite. I mean, it definitely would suck for them to not be on Apple because of all the people that are in like using the Apple product to play. especially when it comes to the tournaments that they have to do. But at the same time, I mean, Fortnite's still going to make its money, and that would just, again, hurt Apple more so than it would hurt Fortnite with that situation. That's not going to stop people from not playing Fortnite when they got so many other devices that they can use it on. So I wouldn't say it's too much of a concern for other developers unless you're mobile only and you're worried about your profits, of course, and how much money you can get from the app stores.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Fortnite mobile players just switching over to playing on PC. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Jonathan, anything to chime in from a legal perspective? Just because I know this is your forte.
No, I mean, I would agree with Suki that I don't think orgs are going to be affected too much by it. But I think everyone hit kind of the big points. I would agree with everyone.
Fantastic. And with that, that brings us to a close for the State of Marketing and Partnerships panel. Let's. I normally say give a big round of applause, but nobody's here, so I guess one's in the chat for our fantastic panelists and moderators. Thanks everybody so much for tuning in. If you want to continue the conversation, I urge you all to go ahead and connect with these fine folks on LinkedIn. There's also an insights thread that I just started up on the Dallas Startup Week 2020 Slack channel under the Gaming and Esports track. You can find a couple of quotes from each of our panelists there, and feel free to share your favorite quotes, thoughts, and insights in that channel as well. We're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we're going to be doing a panel that's all about indie games here in DFW. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya.